Welcome to another writer's review with Haley and Sam. Today we're gonna face a shadow monster. In a dindle because I missed the Oktoberfest as I was sick. Shadow Monsters and Courageous Hearts by Haley Graham and illustrated by Tor Allen. Hearing the tenderness in his voice, Mouse began to sob. And that part always makes me cry.
Badger chuckled. "You know the good thing about shadow monsters, Mouse?" "No," he said. "They never survive the light." "Or badgers," Mouse laughed. And that's my favourite quote because for me that's fundamental to all healing. When we find the courage to share our fears with someone we can trust, when we bring them into the light, they start to lose their hold over us. So there's a monster locked in Mouse's cellar that threatens to devour him. So can Badger help? Or is Mouse going to be doomed to a life of endlessly checking locks and bricks to make sure that they're strong enough to keep the monster in?
The Shadow Monster. That story hit something in me. It touched something in me. I was basically crying all the time when I read it. Yeah, I cry a lot. I was thinking if OCD applies to me or not. When I constantly worry that I said something wrong or that I communicated wrong, is that OCD?
So typically, OCD fears might be a little bit more out there. And you might say that worrying about having said something to upset somebody is not particularly outrageous. But I would also then want to understand if you were sort of performing any sort of compulsions around that. So if that's like an intrusive thought, have I said something wrong? Have I done something wrong? Whether then you're performing any sort of compulsions to try and manage the anxiety around that. Things like thought checking as well as sort of particular sort of actions. I mean, does that sound familiar to you?
I do repeat conversations over and over again in my head, and I reread them and I keep track of them, like record them or something, But I've come to the point where I don't really care about it anymore.
It sounds like you found a way of managing what was ever going on for you.
Yeah.
But I guess it does sound as though you were engaging in certain behaviours, like checking conversations or going over thoughts in your head. And I guess that could have become something where you might have started to avoid people altogether or avoiding conversations.
Yeah.
And then we could have thought about it in terms of OCD if that had been helpful to you. But I might also think about it in sort of more relational terms around, fears of rejection and what was going on for you in that way. It really is about, what is helpful to you as an individual. Does it help you to think about it in that way?
That makes sense, actually. I like that approach. As you said, it's important what helps the other person and not what does the textbook say, what we have to do now. So thanks for saying that because I think it's very important. It's something we should all consider when we're trying to help.
In the story, Mouse fears that the monster will escape and attack and maybe even kill his friends. And so that is very much more of an out there fear. And he tries to manage that fear by going around checking locks, checking how secure bricks are to try and make sure that the monster is going to be contained. But the problem is that the more we check, the less certain we become. And so Mouse ends up going around and around in circles, checking and checking and checking. And actually it completely takes over his life. He's exhausted, he's not sleeping, he's not seeing anybody else. And so to some extent, it does depend on the impact it's having on your life. And obviously the impact on Mouse's life was huge.
The impact on your life, that's a very important point. Sometimes we bash ourselves for things we do, and if we're consciously looking at them, they're not really as bad as we think they are. The other way around as well, of course. Like for Mouse, his behavior had a huge impact on his life. But if we like to have the remote control of the TV, in a certain place, I think that's rather okay, But as with everything, I think it's very important to be aware of your thoughts and your actions and to really look at how does it impact yourself and others. And if there isn't a huge impact, things that are not normal can be okay. You don't have to bash yourself for things that are not bad, because I see a lot of people who hate themselves for not being normal or how it should be or something like that. So looking at your behavior, definitely very important. You should always do that. But before you are being too critical, just check, is it really that bad or not? And if it's bad, well, then go and do something. But at least you took the first step to be aware of it, and you know at what point you can start to handle the situation. So that's also something that helps me a lot of times, is to become aware of my actions and also of my feelings, where I feel the feelings in my body, like anxiety or anger, maybe anything basically. It doesn't lessen the unwanted feeling right away, but it changes it. Every time you do that, every time you become aware of your emotions and really feeling them where they are, how they feel, it gets easier every time. You rinse and repeat, basically. I think that's how you call it, until you realize, oh, that doesn't impact me that much anymore. I still feel maybe the emotion, but it doesn't drag me down or it doesn't make me suffer anymore. It's just, oh yeah, I'm feeling that. Interesting.
I think recognizing your fear is really important. And I love your metaphor of rinse and repeat, as though you're sort of washing it out. I guess in OCD, people are often acutely aware of their fear. And in some respects, what they need to do is they need to face up to the thought. Often, when they do that, they realize it's not true. In the case of Mouse, the monster just dissolved into a tangle of brambles.
What I liked is that Mouse had help from Badger. Well, not everyone has a badger in their life, but if you have a badger in their life, that can really, really help you to overcome those fears. That's why I love Badger so much, because I can feel how he helps Mouse with his struggles. He understood Mouse. He didn't tell Mouse that his fears were wrong or anything. He just believed him, because for Mouse, his fears were absolutely real. And telling him you're wrong about it, that wouldn't have helped, because it was still there and he would be doubting himself. But that's not how Badger helped him. He helped him by being there with him, confronting his fears with him. And he knew that those fears were real for Mouse. And that's why Badger's my hero, because he, let Mouse be how he is, but helped him to become more of himself. So, yeah.
Yes, that's exactly it. The fears are so real, and that's why it takes so much courage to face them and the intrusive thoughts that cause the fears. Yeah, Mouse is absolutely convinced that the monster is real.
Yeah.
It's not a shadow monster to him.
Yeah.
And also, the monster is huge and it's got sharp, pointy teeth. And Mouse is very, very small.
Yes.
So, yeah, absolutely. The fear is absolutely real and it's terrifying. And that is often what it's like for sufferers of OCD. A Mouse needs somebody there beside him who believes in him.
Yeah.
And to be there with him, as you say, not judging him, but supporting him to face those fears.
Yeah. What can we do about OCD? What helps me? To distract myself. Like one day I was going to have some surgery and I was really, really afraid, but I had something that distracted me and that made me happy. So I was focusing on that and not on the fear I had.
I think that's a really good strategy. It's a way of breaking the cycle of compulsions and obsessions. It's giving your mind something else to engage with.
Yeah.
And I think, it's something that I often sort of recommend, what can you do to distract yourself?
Oh, wow.
Another thing I might also suggest is that, in terms of the thoughts, the intrusive thoughts, is to try and externalize them in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So to think of an image of, what this thing could be that, keeps attacking you in this way. And it might be that, you give it a particular image or a particular name, like some people use the name the bully.
Mm-hmm.
So You're helping to externalize it, see that these thoughts are not part of you. There's something that are separate to you.
How much do you identify with your thoughts? Do you believe every thought that you're thinking? And do you let it go through some sort of, I'm the one who decides if I want to believe this?
So I think I'm now much better at identifying what might be an intrusive or a bullying thought. What seems to be the case is that everybody gets intrusive thoughts, but some people are much more impacted by them than others. So take, for example, somebody who the thought, stood on a train station one day, thinks, oh, I could just push that person in front of the oncoming train. Okay. Anybody might have that thought. But somebody who is more likely to suffer with OCD might give that thought more power, like it means something about me. I thought it, so I must want to do it.
Yeah.
So, they're horrified by the thought and they give it this meaning, this value, and they're more likely to be affected by it. It's sort of helping them see that the thought in itself is not true.
And to have this filter, I'm the one who decides if I want to believe this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that one.
Yeah.
It's that moment of fear and courage existing side by side and how that leads to healing.
Yeah. It shows Mauser's strength.